If you've ever struggled to stay consistent with your goals, you're not alone. We all face moments where motivation fades and the hard work seems overwhelming. But here's the truth. Consistency is the real key to achieving anything meaningful in life. It's not about having perfect plans or relying on bursts of energy. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when the results aren't immediate. In this video, we're going to talk about how to force yourself to stay consistent, no matter what challenges you face. This isn't about waiting for the right time or the perfect moment. It's about committing to your growth every single day. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools you need to push through the obstacles and build a life of steady, undeniable progress. Stick around, because if you're ready to make real, lasting change, this is the step-by-step guide you've been looking for. Chapter 1. The brutal truth. Consistency is the key to everything. Success doesn't belong to the smartest person in the room. It doesn't belong to the most talented, the most privileged, or the luckiest. It belongs to the person who refuses to quit. The person who wakes up every single day and puts in the work, no matter how they feel, no matter what's happening around them. The brutal truth is this: consistency is the key to everything. Without it, your dreams will stay dreams, your potential will remain untapped, and your life will be ruled by temporary bursts of motivation that fade as quickly as they came. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they lack consistency. They start strong, filled with excitement, telling themselves that this time will be different. They hit the gym for a week, work on their business idea for a few days, read a book on personal development, or commit to waking up early. Life happens. They skip a day, then another. The excuses start creeping in. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too tired. I just don't feel like it today. And before they know it, they're right back where they started, stuck, frustrated, and wondering why nothing ever changes. You need to understand something. Your results in life are a direct reflection of what you do consistently, not what you do occasionally. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Anyone can commit to their goals when they're excited. But the real winners, they show up no matter what. They train themselves to take action whether they feel like it or not. Because they know that greatness isn't built in one day. It's built in the small, seemingly insignificant actions, repeated over and over, until they become unstoppable. Think about this. The gym won't transform your body after one intense workout. Reading one book won't make you an expert. Practicing a skill once won't make you a master. But compound these actions over weeks, months, and years, and the results will be undeniable. The problem is that most people don't stick around long enough to see those results. They get discouraged when they don't see instant success. They expect immediate rewards for minimal effort, and when they don't get them, they give up. This is where you have to separate yourself from the average person. You have to stop chasing motivation and start building discipline. Because the hard truth is this: motivation is a liar. It will make you feel unstoppable one day and completely drained the next. It will push you forward when things are exciting, then disappear when things get hard. And if you rely on motivation alone, you will never be consistent. The key is to stop asking yourself how you feel about doing something and start doing it regardless. Feelings are temporary, but habits once ingrained become automatic. There's a reason why the most successful people in the world operate with relentless consistency. They don't give themselves an option to fail. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They don't let temporary discomfort dictate their long-term goals. They wake up and execute, even on the days when everything in them wants to quit. That's the mindset you need to adopt. Stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect level of inspiration. None of that matters. What matters is that you commit and you follow through again and again until it becomes second nature. The real battle is fought in the moments when you don't feel like doing it. When you're tired, when you're frustrated, when progress feels slow, when nobody is watching. That's when most people quit. That's when they justify skipping just one day, not realizing that this is the exact moment that separates those who succeed from those who don't. Because one day turns into two days turn into a week, and suddenly, the dream they were so excited about is nothing more than a distant memory. But if you push through, if you force yourself to take action despite the resistance, you build an entirely new identity. You become someone who follows through. Someone who keeps their promises to themselves. Someone who doesn't break their own commitments. And that kind of person always wins in the long run. So here's the truth you need to embrace right now. There is no secret formula, no shortcut, no easy way. There is only showing up every single day and putting in the work. Success isn't about luck. It's about discipline. It's about consistency. And most of all, it's about making a decision that no matter what happens, you will not quit. You will not allow yourself to fall into the trap of inconsistency. You will keep pushing forward, day after day, until your success is inevitable. Because at the end of the day, the person who refuses to quit is the person who wins. And if you want to change your life, that's exactly who you need to become. Chapter 2. Destroy the excuse factory. Stop negotiating with yourself. There's one thing that separates the people who succeed from the ones who stay stuck in the same place for years. It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not even luck. It's their ability to shut down their excuses and take action no matter what. And let's be real for a second. Most people are running an excuse factory in their minds 24/7. A voice that constantly negotiates, looking for the easiest way out, justifying why today isn't the right time to start, why they're too tired, too busy, too unmotivated. And if you let that voice control you, it will rob you of every opportunity, every goal, every bit of progress you could have made. The truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the set of excuses you've been telling yourself. The problem isn't your circumstances. It's not your lack of time. It's not even that you don't know what to do. It's the fact that you keep allowing yourself to argue with your own success. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you'll start tomorrow? That you'll get back on track next week? That when life settles down, you'll finally commit? And yet when that moment comes, there's always another excuse, another reason to push things back, another way to avoid taking responsibility. The brutal truth is this: your excuses are nothing more than well-crafted lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable, and comfort is the enemy of progress. Every time you choose an excuse, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. You're choosing stagnation over growth, failure over success, regret over accomplishment, because deep down, you know the truth. You know that the work needs to be done. You know that skipping today will only make it harder tomorrow. You know that every time you give in to an excuse, you weaken your own discipline, making it even easier to quit next time. So how do you break this cycle? How do you stop being a slave to your excuses? It starts with a decision that from this moment forward, you will no longer negotiate with yourself. That when you say you're going to do something, you follow through. No debates, no second guessing, no internal arguments. Because the second you give yourself an option, you've already lost. The second you start considering whether or not you feel like doing it, you've given your excuse factory the power to take over. Look at the most disciplined people in the world. They don't wake up every morning and decide whether or not they feel like working out. They don't negotiate with themselves about whether or not they feel like showing up. They operate on autopilot. They've trained themselves to take action, no matter what, because they understand something most people don't. Your feelings are unreliable. If you wait until you feel like doing something, you'll never get anywhere. Feelings change. They fluctuate. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you'll want to do nothing. But if your actions are dictated by your emotions, you will always be inconsistent, and inconsistency is the killer of all progress. The secret to winning this battle is to eliminate the decision-making process altogether. Stop waking up and deciding whether or not you're going to do what needs to be done. Make it automatic. You don't wake up and ask yourself if you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it. That's the level of consistency you need to bring to your goals. Make action a non-negotiable. Treat it like a job. Because guess what? Success is a job. And if you want the rewards, you have to put in the work. Not when it's convenient, not when you're inspired. Every single day. And here's where most people get stuck. They think that avoiding hard work is saving them energy. But the reality is, making excuses is exhausting. Procrastination drains you. The mental stress of knowing you should be doing something but avoiding it creates anxiety, guilt, and frustration. And the worst part, the longer you avoid it, the bigger it feels in your mind. That workout you skipped, it would have taken 45 minutes. But now you've spent hours thinking about how you should have done it. That project you put off, it could have been completed in a few focused hours, but now it's looming over you like a dark cloud. The energy you waste making excuses is far greater than the energy it takes to just get it done. You have to understand that your mind is wired for comfort. It will always take the path of least resistance if you allow it to. But you're not here to live a comfortable life. You're here to live a great one. And greatness is earned, not given. It's earned in the moments when nobody is watching. In the moments when it would be easier to quit, but you choose to push forward anyway. That's where true discipline is built. That's where real progress happens. So from this moment on, make a commitment to yourself. No more excuses, no more negotiating, no more delaying the things you know need to be done. The next time your mind starts looking for a way out, shut it down immediately. Take action before the excuse even has a chance to take hold. Train yourself to move before your mind can talk you out of it. Because once you learn to master this, once you stop negotiating with yourself and start acting despite your feelings, you become unstoppable. At the end of the day, you have two choices: build a future that makes you proud, or build a lifetime of regret. One requires effort, discipline, and relentless action. The other requires nothing but excuses. The choice is yours. Chapter 3. The 2-minute rule. Build momentum before you even start. Imagine waking up every morning knowing exactly what to do and feeling driven to do it, no matter what. You're not waiting for motivation to strike or hoping that the energy will come, because you've learned to make progress regardless of your mood. Now picture this: you're building something every day, no matter how small the step. It might not be noticeable today, but as time passes, you start to see massive changes. What you're witnessing is momentum in action, the kind of momentum that can transform your life. This is the power of the 2-minute rule. It's one of the simplest, most effective techniques to overcome procrastination and build habits that last. But don't be fooled by its simplicity. What makes this rule so powerful is how it rewires your brain to think differently about action and achievement. The 2-minute rule is incredibly easy to apply and incredibly difficult to ignore once you start using it. Here's how it works. When you're facing a task, no matter how big or daunting, you start by telling yourself, "I only need to do this for 2 minutes. That's it." You're not committing to hours of work or to finishing an entire project. You're committing to just 2 minutes. Sounds small, doesn't it? But here's the catch. Once you start, you'll often find that 2 minutes turns into 20, 30, or even an hour. You've tricked your mind into starting, and once you're in motion, it's much harder to stop. This works because the hardest part of any task is getting started. The mental hurdle we face is often more intimidating than the task itself. We imagine the work as this massive, overwhelming thing that requires so much energy and focus, but the moment we break it down into something as simple as just 2 minutes, that barrier dissolves. Suddenly, we're not overwhelmed by the task, we're just putting one foot in front of the other, taking small, manageable steps toward a bigger goal. I want you to think about the things that have held you back in the past. Maybe you've been putting off a big project, or perhaps you've struggled to stick with a new routine. The reason you've failed isn't because you're lazy or unmotivated, it's because you've allowed the task to appear bigger than it really is. You've been seeing the finish line before you've even taken the first step, and that can be paralyzing. The 2-minute rule removes that pressure. It brings the task back down to size, showing you that the first step can be as small as pressing play on a workout video or writing a single paragraph of your book. By focusing on the immediate moment, you shift the emphasis from the overwhelming end result to the process itself. And here's the secret: in most cases, once you've started, the momentum you build keeps you going. You might set out with the intention of only working for 2 minutes, but once you're in the flow, you'll often surprise yourself with how much you accomplish. I've seen people transform their entire lives using this rule. The person who has always struggled to maintain consistency suddenly becomes someone who shows up every day, doing the work, because they've learned how to make that first step incredibly easy to take. The beauty of the 2-minute rule is its simplicity. It doesn't require a complex system or special tools. It only asks for 2 minutes of your time, no excuses. The key here is to recognize that those 2 minutes matter. They're not insignificant. They're the start of something much bigger. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it's tiny. It barely makes a dent in the snow. But as it rolls, it gathers momentum and becomes something massive. Your 2-minute commitment works the same way. It's your snowball at the top of the hill. The more you do it, the more momentum you create. Before long, you'll find that you've made real progress without the stress of forcing yourself to go all in right from the start. Let's break this down with a real-world example. Let's say you want to get into the habit of exercising regularly, but you've always struggled to find the motivation to work out. Instead of committing to a full hour at the gym right away, which feels overwhelming, you commit to just 2 minutes of stretching or doing 1 set of exercises. That's all. You tell yourself that if you only do those 2 minutes, that's enough. But more often than not, once those 2 minutes pass, you'll feel warmed up and you'll want to keep going. Maybe you'll extend the time, or maybe you'll do more exercises. Either way, you've successfully turned a task that once felt impossible into something manageable. And most importantly, you've overcome the hardest part, getting started. But let's not stop there. This rule isn't just for exercise or big projects. You can apply the 2-minute rule to every aspect of your life. Want to read more? Start by reading just 1 page. Want to eat healthier? Begin by prepping just 1 meal. Want to write more? Write just one paragraph. The power of the 2-minute rule is that it removes the emotional resistance to starting. It lowers the threshold of entry to a point where it feels almost impossible not to begin. And once you've started, you can't help but keep going. Think about the impact this could have on your daily routine. If you consistently apply the 2-minute rule to just one area of your life, you'll quickly realize how much progress you can make over time. You've heard the phrase, slow and steady wins the race, and in this case it couldn't be more true. The magic of consistency is that it compounds. You might not see huge results right away, but when you look back after weeks or months, you'll be astounded by how much you've accomplished. Consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly every time. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It's about breaking the inertia, taking that first step, and trusting that the momentum will carry you. The 2-minute rule teaches you to start small, but it also teaches you that consistency is the key to breaking through resistance and making lasting change. This is where the real transformation happens. It's not about making massive changes overnight. It's about building a routine that becomes second nature, something you do without thinking. Once you get the ball rolling, the results start to speak for themselves. The person who applies the 2-minute rule is the person who eventually sees dramatic improvements in their life because they're showing up every day, no matter how small the action. Over time, those small actions build into something extraordinary. So the next time you're faced with a task or goal that seems too big, remember this: start with 2 minutes. That's all it takes. You've just unlocked the key to getting things done without relying on motivation or willpower. Just 2 minutes, and the rest will follow. Chapter 4. The Identity Shift. Become the person who shows up no matter what. The most powerful shift you can make in your life isn't found in motivation or some grand strategy. It's in your identity. You have to become the person who shows up every day, no matter what. It's not enough to wish for success or dream of a better life. You need to adopt the mindset of someone who has already achieved what you desire. This isn't just about changing your habits. It's about changing who you are at a core level. When you make this shift, everything becomes easier because your identity drives your actions without you even realizing it. Think about it. Every action you take, every decision you make, is influenced by who you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who is lazy or undisciplined, that belief will determine your behavior. But when you shift your self-image to someone who is driven, consistent, and successful, everything begins to change. Your actions start to align with the person you know yourself to be. The results follow, and before you know it, you've become someone who effortlessly does the things you once struggled with. You might think this sounds too simple, but the power of identity is profound. When you start seeing yourself as someone who takes consistent action, someone who does the work every day, your brain starts looking for ways to make that a reality. It stops negotiating with you, stops telling you that it's okay to skip a day or give up when things get tough. When your identity is locked in, it becomes an internal compass that guides your decisions and actions. You stop fighting yourself, and instead, you flow with your own purpose. This shift isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about uncovering the person you already are deep down. It's about stepping into the fullest version of yourself, the one who knows that consistency, discipline, and showing up every single day is the only path to success. And here's the truth: everyone has that version of themselves inside. It's just waiting to be unleashed. The key is to start acting as if that person is already you, not as someone you hope to be in the future, but someone you are right now. You see, most people spend their lives waiting for the right moment to become disciplined or consistent. They think they need to feel motivated or inspired before they can take action. But the truth is, discipline doesn't come from feeling like doing something. It comes from deciding who you want to be and showing up as that person. It's not about waiting for the stars to align or for the perfect conditions to fall into place. It's about choosing every day to step into the identity of the person who does the work, no matter what. This is where many people get stuck. They start a new habit, but when things get hard, or when they don't see immediate results, they fall off track. They think they just need more willpower or motivation, but what they really need is a stronger sense of self. They need to believe in the person they are becoming. The moment you shift your identity from someone who tries to someone who does, your actions will follow. The excuses fade away, and the work becomes a natural part of your routine. You stop seeing it as something you have to force yourself to do, and instead, you start seeing it as an essential part of who you are. This shift requires commitment, but it's the kind of commitment that comes from knowing deep down that the person you're becoming is someone worth investing in. You don't need to wait for perfection. You don't need to wait for the ideal conditions. All you need to do is show up as the person you want to be, every day. No matter how small the action is, it adds up. And over time, you'll start to see results that once seemed impossible. I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 1 year from now. You've consistently worked toward your goals every single day. You've shown up, even when you didn't feel like it. Now think about what that version of you would look like. What have you achieved? What have you become? The more you focus on that vision, the more real it will become. And here's the secret. The only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is your identity. Once you start acting like the person who is disciplined, consistent, and unstoppable, that person will begin to emerge. The key here is to stop seeing discipline and consistency as external actions you have to force yourself to do. Start seeing them as intrinsic qualities of who you are. When you truly adopt the identity of someone who does the work, everything else falls into place. Your habits become second nature, your focus sharpens, and you begin to make progress without the internal struggle. In order to make this shift, you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. All you need to do is start. Take one small step today toward becoming the person you want to be, and then take another tomorrow. It's the small, consistent actions that build the foundation for your new identity. And once that identity is locked in, your life will start to transform in ways you can't even imagine. This is where true freedom lies. When you stop waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, or the right amount of motivation, and instead just commit to showing up as the person you want to be, you take control of your destiny. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing the work, day after day, until it becomes who you are. And when that happens, nothing can stop you. So ask yourself, who do you want to be? What version of yourself do you want to step into? Once you know that, the next step is simple. Start acting like that person today. Commit to showing up, even on the hard days. And remember, consistency isn't about doing everything right. It's about doing the work over and over again until it becomes second nature. Because when you shift your identity, you shift your life. And from that moment on, you won't just be someone who dreams of success, you'll be the person who makes it happen, day in and day out. Chapter 5. Kill the 0 days. The rule that changes everything. There's a rule that can change everything for you. A rule so simple, yet so profound. It has the power to crush all your excuses, silence your inner critic, and keep you moving forward, no matter what. It's called the No 0 Days Rule. And if you truly understand what this rule means, it can completely transform the way you approach life, work, and success. It's not just about making progress, it's about making sure you never take a step back, no matter what happens. You see, every single day is an opportunity, and the rule says, do something, anything, every day toward your goal, no matter how small. The power of this rule lies in its simplicity. So many people fail because they try to go big all at once. They plan these massive goals and make huge commitments, only to burn out after a few days or weeks. They expect perfection, and when they don't achieve it, they throw in the towel. But here's the truth. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. The No 0 Days Rule isn't about completing an entire project in one day or mastering a skill in a week. It's about making sure that no matter what, you do something, anything, every day that moves you closer to your goal. When you make this commitment to yourself, you stop letting your mistakes or setbacks dictate your future. You stop giving yourself permission to quit because you had a bad day or a rough week. Instead, you commit to showing up for yourself every single day. And that's where the magic happens. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to start or for motivation to strike. It's about deciding that no matter what, you will do something that keeps you moving forward. The beauty of this rule is that it eliminates all excuses. You don't need to have the entire day to dedicate to your work, and you don't need to be in the right mindset. Even on your toughest days, when you're exhausted, stressed, or feeling overwhelmed, you still make progress. Maybe it's just 5 minutes of work, or one small task, but you're doing something, and that matters, because those small actions compounded over time will lead to results you could never imagine. But here's the kicker. It's not about just doing something, it's about creating a habit of consistency. When you commit to not having a 0 day, you begin to train your mind to expect success. You teach yourself that no matter how you feel, you're going to show up, you're going to take action, and you're going to move forward. And what happens when you do this every day? You stop seeing progress as something that happens in big bursts. You begin to realize that real success is made up of hundreds, even thousands of tiny steps. It's about the small actions that you repeat consistently, day in and day out. Think about the things you could accomplish if you never had a 0 day. Imagine showing up every day, no matter what, and doing just one small thing toward your goal. What would that look like after a week, a month, a year? You would be amazed at how much you could achieve. The key to success isn't in making big grand gestures, it's in showing up and doing the work, no matter how small, every single day. Now I know what you're probably thinking. But what if I mess up? What if I miss a day? What if I don't have the energy? That's where the magic of the No 0 Days Rule really shines. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing up. Even if you can't give your best effort, even if you're only able to do the bare minimum, that's still progress. You see, consistency doesn't mean you have to be on top of your game every day. It just means that you keep moving forward, no matter how small the step is. There will be days when you feel like giving up. There will be times when you think, what's the point? I'm not making enough progress. But it's in those moments that the No 0 Days Rule is most powerful. When you feel stuck, when you feel defeated, just do something. Even if it's just one small thing. Open the document and write one sentence. Do one push-up. Send one email. Do one thing, no matter how small, that keeps you moving forward. And if you do that every day, even when life gets tough, you'll be amazed at how much you accomplish. It's also important to remember that this rule is a mindset shift. It's not just about doing something every day. It's about committing to consistency as a way of life. It's about deciding that no matter what, you will continue to show up, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when it seems like you're not getting anywhere. By embracing this rule, you're building resilience, discipline, and focus. You're training yourself to be someone who never quits, no matter what obstacles come your way. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem to achieve success effortlessly. What do they have in common? They don't stop. They don't let obstacles or setbacks derail them. They show up every single day, doing something toward their goals. And that's what the No 0 Days rule is all about. It's about making the commitment to keep going, even when it feels hard, even when it feels pointless. Over time, this consistency builds up, it compounds, and before you know it, you'll be looking back at your progress, amazed at how far you've come. The key to success isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up every day and making sure you never have a 0 day. Imagine waking up every day with that mindset, knowing that no matter what, you will do something to move closer to your dreams. It's not about feeling perfect. It's about committing to progress. And when you make that commitment, everything changes. So from this moment forward, make the decision that you will never have a 0 day again. Commit to doing something, anything, every single day, no matter how small. Because when you do, you'll find that success isn't some distant dream. It's something you're already creating, one step at a time. Chapter 6. The Emotional Override. Train yourself to take action no matter how you feel. You've heard the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway, but what if I told you that the fear, the discomfort, the resistance you feel doesn't actually matter? What if you could train your mind and body to take action, even when you don't feel like it, when your emotions are screaming for you to stop, when your mind is telling you it's too hard, too painful, or too uncomfortable? The truth is, your emotions don't have to dictate your actions. You can learn to override them. You can train yourself to take action no matter how you feel. And once you understand how to do this, your entire approach to life, work, and success will change. We live in a world that's driven by feelings, where everything from social media to our personal experiences reinforces the idea that how we feel should dictate what we do. If we feel happy, we take action. If we feel motivated, we go after our goals with everything we have. But when we feel tired, sad, or stressed, we allow ourselves to step back. We tell ourselves, I'll try again tomorrow, or I'm just not in the mood right now. But here's the hard truth. Your feelings are unreliable. They'll change, they'll fluctuate, and if you let them control you, they'll keep you stuck, forever waiting for the right moment that will never come. But what if you could override those emotions? What if, instead of letting them stop you, you learned to take action no matter how you feel? Imagine how much more you could accomplish if you didn't let your moods, your tiredness, or your fear stop you from doing the work. That's the power of learning how to take action no matter what. This isn't about ignoring your feelings or pretending that they don't exist. It's about recognizing that they don't control you, you control what you do. And when you decide that taking action is more important than how you feel in the moment, that's when the real magic happens. This is where training yourself to override your emotions comes into play. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. In fact, you'll never feel 100% ready. You'll never feel perfect. But what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck is the ability to act despite the fear, despite the resistance, despite the uncertainty. The key is making the decision to take action regardless of how you feel. The real power comes when you push through that discomfort, that feeling of wanting to quit, and take that next step anyway. It's easy to take action when we're motivated, when we feel inspired or excited. But the true test of your growth comes when you're not feeling those things. When you're tired, when you're doubting yourself, when everything in you wants to quit, that's when you need to override your emotions. That's when you need to dig deep and take the next step anyway. And when you do that, you build the muscle of discipline. Every time you push through that resistance and take action, you strengthen your ability to do it again the next time. Over time, this becomes a habit. You don't even think about it anymore. You just do the work, no matter how you feel. This isn't about forcing yourself to work 24/7 or ignoring your emotions completely. It's about recognizing that your emotions are just one part of you, but they don't have to control your actions. When you learn how to separate your emotions from your ability to take action, you free yourself from the cycle of waiting for the right moment or for the perfect mood. The truth is, the best time to take action is right now, in the middle of your doubts, your fears, your tiredness. That's when real progress happens. Now let me tell you a secret. There's always a reason not to do something. There's always an excuse waiting to pull you back. The longer you wait, the more reasons you'll find not to take action. But if you can learn to act first, without waiting for permission from your emotions, you'll be light years ahead of the people who keep waiting for that perfect moment. Every time you take action despite how you feel, you're training yourself to become the kind of person who doesn't let circumstances or feelings control them. You're training yourself to become someone who shows up, who works, who takes consistent action, even when it feels hard. And over time you'll realize that the hard days aren't the exception, they're the rule. Success isn't built in the easy moments, it's built when you push through the tough times, when you act despite the resistance, when you decide that showing up is more important than how you feel. Here's something to think about. How much potential are you leaving on the table because you're waiting for the right feeling to take action? How many days have you let slip by because you were too tired, too distracted, or just not in the mood? Imagine how much more you could achieve if you learned to take action regardless of how you felt. Imagine how much closer you could get to your goals simply by showing up every single day, doing the work, even when it's tough. This is the true power of self-discipline. It's not about motivation. It's not about waiting for a burst of inspiration. It's about deciding, every day, that your goals matter more than your temporary feelings. It's about learning to override your emotions and take consistent action, no matter what. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Over time, you'll notice that the resistance gets weaker, that the fear gets smaller. The more you push through it, the more you prove to yourself that you can do it. You'll start to see yourself as someone who doesn't wait for the perfect moment, but someone who creates those moments by showing up and taking action. It's not always easy. In fact, it's rarely easy. But that's the point. The people who succeed are the ones who can take action when it's difficult, when they don't feel like it, when their emotions are telling them to stop. They don't wait for motivation or for the right feelings. They just do the work. And you can do that too. Once you learn how to override your emotions and take action, no matter what, you'll unlock a level of productivity and success that you never thought possible. So take that first step. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you're scared, just take the action. Because every time you do, you're training yourself to be unstoppable. Chapter 7. The Systems over Motivation Method. Create habits that run on autopilot. Imagine waking up every single day with a routine that doesn't require you to summon motivation, doesn't rely on your emotions, and doesn't demand that you feel inspired to get started. It sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But here's the truth: it's possible, and it's within your reach. The key to this freedom lies not in waiting for motivation to strike, but in creating systems that allow you to operate on autopilot. When you establish solid, well-designed habits, you don't need to constantly rely on willpower or discipline to get things done. Your actions become automatic, your success inevitable. We're all familiar with the feeling of waking up in the morning, groggy and tired, and thinking, "I'll just skip today." Or we might face a task and feel that inner resistance rising up, convincing us that the effort isn't worth it, or that we'll tackle it later. It's easy to get caught in that cycle of starting and stopping, pushing and pulling ourselves along. But what if I told you that it's not about forcing yourself to work harder? It's about working smarter by creating systems that run without constant decision-making. If you design your life so that the right actions are almost automatic, then you remove the mental strain of having to convince yourself every day to do the work. You stop wasting energy on decisions you don't need to make, and instead, you channel that energy into actually doing the work. This is where the power of systems comes into play. Think of systems as the foundation on which everything else stands. They're not just a bunch of to-do lists or vague promises to work harder. Systems are designed, intentional structures that guide your daily actions, your thoughts, and your behaviors. When you have systems in place, you don't have to rely on your mood, your energy level, or your fluctuating motivation to decide what to do next. You've already decided. It's all mapped out for you. And that's a game changer. Let's take a simple example to understand how powerful systems can be. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you need to summon motivation to brush your teeth? Do you need to get emotionally excited about it? Of course not. It's automatic. You've done it so many times that it requires no thought, no decision-making, no inner struggle. You don't need to convince yourself. You don't even need to feel like brushing your teeth, because it's just what you do. The same concept can be applied to your larger goals, your work, and your personal development. When you establish systems that make certain behaviors automatic, you don't have to wrestle with yourself to do them. Imagine for a second that every time you woke up you had a system in place to get your body moving, your mind sharp, and your tasks underway. The moment you roll out of bed, you know exactly what comes next, whether it's exercising, reading, working, or any other productive action. There's no inner resistance, no "I'll do it later," because the system is already running. You've built a routine that takes the thinking and decision-making out of the equation, and this is where true productivity happens. Let's break it down further. How often have you thought about a goal, a project or a dream, and felt overwhelmed by how big it is or how far away it feels? The mountain looks impossible to climb when you focus on the summit. But the beauty of systems is that they break the mountain down into manageable steps. You don't need to conquer the entire goal all at once. You just need to take the next step. Systems allow you to break the process down into smaller, more achievable actions that are easy to repeat every day. The first step is identifying the actions that matter most. Think about your top priorities, the things you really want to achieve. Now, how can you break them down into bite-sized tasks that can be repeated consistently? Let's say you want to get in shape. Rather than telling yourself, "I need to work out for an hour every day," build a system where you commit to something manageable, like a 10-minute workout. Just 10 minutes. No excuses. It's not about doing it all at once. It's about showing up and doing something every day. The key is consistency. When you do something every single day, even if it's small, you build momentum, and that momentum is what drives you toward your larger goal. Building a system that works isn't just about time management. It's about making the decision ahead of time that you're going to show up, regardless of how you feel. This is how habits are formed. A system could involve a specific time of day when you're most productive, a set place where you get work done, or a routine that automatically cues your brain into action. For example, if you want to write a book, you could set aside 30 minutes each morning before work to write. The key isn't to sit there and try to force creativity. The key is showing up consistently, day after day. Over time, the writing becomes part of your routine, and your brain shifts into work mode because it knows what's expected. It's no longer a struggle, it's just what you do. But systems don't just help with productivity, they help with motivation too. You might think that motivation is the spark that starts your work. But the truth is, motivation often comes after you take action. The hardest part is starting, but once you've established a system, the action itself becomes easier. It's like pushing a heavy boulder. At first it's hard, but once it starts moving, it gains momentum. Systems create that momentum, they help you start, and from there you keep going. Of course, there will be days when you don't feel like sticking to your system. Maybe you're tired, or you're dealing with stress, or you're simply not in the mood. But this is where systems show their true power. When you've built a system that runs on autopilot, you don't have to rely on motivation or feelings. You just have to show up. It doesn't matter if you feel excited or ready or enthusiastic. The system doesn't care. It just expects you to do what you've committed to, and once you do, you'll realize that it wasn't as hard as you thought it would be. You've already put the steps in place. You just need to follow them. So how do you create systems that work for you? Start by deciding what your goals are. What do you want to achieve, and why does it matter? Then break that goal down into smaller, actionable steps. Once you've identified those steps, create a routine that makes them easy to implement. Make it so simple, so automatic, that it doesn't require mental energy to begin. When you have systems in place, you've essentially removed the need to feel like doing something because your systems don't care about your emotions. They just need you to show up and take the next step. And when you do that, every single day, you're building the life you've always wanted, one small, consistent action at a time. When you stop relying on motivation and start creating systems that work, you'll find that everything becomes easier. You're no longer waiting for the mood to strike, and you're no longer struggling to muster the willpower to get started. Your systems will carry you forward, even on the days when you feel like quitting. And when you look back, you'll realize that those small, consistent actions have led to massive growth. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, day after day, doing the work, and allowing your systems to guide you. That's the secret to success. Chapter 8. The 100-Day Challenge. Transform your life with relentless focus. Imagine for a moment that you could make a single deliberate commitment and over time completely transform your life. Picture yourself waking up every day with a clear focus, your actions streamlined, and the momentum behind you so powerful that you could accomplish the impossible. This is the potential of a 100-day challenge, not just any challenge, but one that's designed to push you further than you've ever gone before. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up relentlessly, every single day, for 100 days straight, and watching how you evolve, how your habits change, and how your life begins to shape itself into something far more extraordinary than you could have imagined. The power of a 100-day challenge lies in its ability to force you to commit, to create an unbreakable routine, and to build momentum that drives you forward even when the road gets tough. We've all heard of 30-day challenges, and while they're great for short-term goals, they don't truly test your mettle. A 100-day challenge, however, is the real deal. It's long enough to instill lasting change, but short enough that you can still see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a full transformation in just under 4 months. That's all it takes. Imagine the difference 100 days can make if you show up consistently, if you give everything you've got, and if you push yourself to grow every single day. The first part of the 100-day challenge is about creating clarity. You need to decide exactly what you're going to focus on for these 100 days. This isn't about making a vague commitment to get better or improve or try something new. No, this is about getting specific. Are you going to write 500 words every day for 100 days? Are you going to exercise for 30 minutes every single morning? Are you going to meditate every night before bed? Whatever your goal is, it needs to be clear, measurable, and powerful enough to drive you through the ups and downs of those 100 days. If you don't have clarity, if you don't know exactly what you're working toward, then those 100 days are going to feel aimless, and you'll struggle to maintain the consistency needed to see it through. Once you've identified your goal, the next step is to commit to the process. It's not just about deciding that you're going to do something for 100 days. It's about fully embracing the challenge, knowing that every single day matters. There are no off days, no excuses, no exceptions. This is about building discipline, about showing up for yourself even when it's hard. And trust me, there will be days when it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. There will be days when your motivation is nowhere to be found, when your mind is telling you to take a break, to skip today, to put it off until tomorrow. But this is where the magic happens. On those days, when you choose to push through anyway, when you decide to stay true to your commitment, that's when you start to build the resilience that will carry you not just through the 100 days, but through everything that comes after them. The 100-day challenge isn't just a test of endurance, it's also a test of your ability to be adaptable, to adjust and pivot when things don't go according to plan. You'll encounter obstacles along the way, unexpected events, emotional ups and downs, distractions and setbacks. But here's the thing, none of that matters. What matters is how you respond. Do you let the bumps in the road derail you, or do you take them in stride and keep moving forward? Life is going to throw curveballs at you. That's a given. The question is whether you're going to let those curveballs stop you from hitting your target. A 100-day challenge teaches you to keep your eyes on the prize, to stay focused, and to adapt without losing sight of your goal. You learn that setbacks are not failures, they're simply part of the journey. It's about learning how to fail forward, how to get back up and keep going, no matter what. What's truly powerful about a 100-day challenge is the way it transforms your identity. Every day that you show up, every day that you push through and do the work, you're telling yourself that you are the type of person who follows through. You're reinforcing the belief that you are capable of consistency, of discipline, of doing what you said you would do. The challenge doesn't just change your habits, it changes who you are. And this shift in identity is everything. Because once you've seen that you can do it, once you've proven to yourself that you are someone who follows through, you'll start to carry that confidence into every area of your life. You'll start to tackle challenges with a sense of certainty, knowing that you have the strength and the discipline to overcome anything. The beauty of a 100-day challenge is that it's not about being perfect. It's not about getting everything right. It's about showing up and doing the work. It's about consistency, even when you don't feel like it. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when you commit to something for 100 days, you're not just changing a habit, you're building a new version of yourself. A version of you who doesn't rely on motivation to get things done. A version of you who is driven by discipline, by commitment, by the deep understanding that success is the result of showing up, day after day, no matter how you feel. The 100-day challenge isn't a one-time event. It's a foundation for a life of growth and continuous improvement. Once you've completed your first 100-day challenge, you'll realize that you're capable of even more. You'll start to see how your habits have shifted, how your mindset has evolved, and how much you've accomplished in just a short amount of time. And then you'll be ready to set your sights on the next challenge, the next goal, the next step in your evolution. Because that's the thing about growth, it never stops. Once you've unlocked the power of consistency, once you've seen what's possible, when you commit to something fully, you'll start to realize that there's nothing you can't achieve. So what's the next step for you? Are you ready to take the plunge and commit to your own 100-day challenge? Think about it. What could you accomplish if you made one commitment today and stuck to it for the next 100 days? What would your life look like if you showed up every single day for yourself? The answer is simple. You'd be unstoppable. And the best part, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to start. You can start today, right now, because the only thing standing between you and your goals is the decision to take action. The next 100 days are yours to shape. What will you create? Chapter 9. The Resilience Formula. Bounce back fast and never quit. Life is unpredictable. It will test you. It will throw challenges, obstacles, and failures your way, some of which might knock you down hard. But what defines you isn't how many times you fall, it's how quickly you get back up. Resilience is a skill. It's not something you're born with, it's something you build piece by piece, day by day. Resilience isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about bouncing back stronger and more determined than before. It's about being unbreakable, about facing adversity head-on and not letting it destroy your spirit. No matter what life hands you, no matter how hard the situation gets, there's always a way back. It's a mindset that, when cultivated, turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. The truth is, failure will happen. You will face moments where you feel like giving up, where things just aren't going your way, where the odds seem stacked against you. But here's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't: the ability to keep moving forward. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about how you handle it. It's about standing tall in the face of adversity and saying, "This is not the end. This is just the beginning of my next chapter." You see, resilience doesn't come from avoiding difficulty, it comes from leaning into it, from seeing it as part of the process, as an opportunity to grow. When you start viewing challenges as stepping stones, you stop seeing them as roadblocks. You realize that every challenge is a chance to learn, to grow, to sharpen your character. You're going to face setbacks, and when you do, you need to remind yourself that it's not the setback that defines you, it's your response to it. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fail, they're the ones who keep going no matter how many times they fall. Resilience is what makes the difference between giving up and pushing forward. It's the reason why some people succeed while others quit. But building resilience isn't always easy. It's about developing a mental toughness that allows you to keep going when your mind tells you to stop. It's about facing each challenge with determination and persistence. The road to resilience is paved with persistence, And every time you keep going when you feel like quitting, you're building that resilience muscle. A key part of resilience is the ability to maintain focus and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the setbacks, to focus too much on what's not working. But if you only look at the roadblocks in front of you, you're missing the bigger view of the path ahead. Resilience requires a shift in perspective. Instead of looking at the immediate problem, shift your focus to where you want to go. Ask yourself, what's my long-term vision? What am I really working toward? When you keep your eyes on the bigger picture, the setbacks become less intimidating. The obstacles become small blips on the radar, temporary distractions on your way to your goals. With resilience, you learn to focus on progress, not perfection. You learn that failure is not final, that setbacks are simply lessons in disguise. One of the most powerful things you can do to build resilience is to stop attaching your worth to your failures. Too often, people internalize their mistakes, and that's where they go wrong. They think a failure means they're a failure. They think a setback defines them. But that's not the case. Your failures do not determine your worth. They're just part of the process. In fact, every time you get back up, you build a stronger version of yourself. Each failure is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. If you keep seeing failure as a lesson rather than a defeat, you'll develop resilience faster than you think. Understand that resilience is about bouncing back, not about avoiding failure in the first place. It's about getting up when you're knocked down and going even harder the next time. It's also important to recognize that resilience isn't something you build overnight. It's a long-term commitment to growth, to improving yourself every day, no matter the circumstances. It's not about just bouncing back once. It's about consistently bouncing back every time life knocks you down. It's about building a foundation of inner strength, developing mental toughness, and creating habits that keep you moving forward, no matter what. This is why consistency plays such a crucial role in resilience. It's about developing the habit of resilience. You don't need to be perfect every time, but you do need to be persistent. Even when it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, even when you want to give up, resilience is about doing the work. It's about taking action, even when you don't feel like it. But it's not just about resilience in the face of failure. It's about resilience in the face of discomfort. So many of us avoid the uncomfortable moments because they feel painful, because we're scared of what might happen. But discomfort is part of the growth process. It's part of what makes you stronger. To build resilience, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You need to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, to embrace the challenges, and to accept that growth doesn't happen when you're playing it safe. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you take risks, when you keep going even when it feels hard. The more you embrace discomfort, the stronger your resilience will become. But how do you actually bounce back when life knocks you down? The first step is to acknowledge the setback and accept that it's a part of the journey. You're not weak because things didn't go as planned. You're human. Accept that failure and setbacks are inevitable, but that they don't define you. Once you've accepted it, the next step is to assess the situation. What happened? What went wrong? What can you learn from it? By turning your attention to the lessons instead of the pain, you shift your mindset from defeat to growth. The next step is to adjust your approach. Take what you've learned and use it to adapt. Build resilience by staying flexible, learning, and evolving. The most important thing you can do is to never ever quit. No matter how tough things get, keep pushing forward. Every time you get back up, you're building mental toughness, and with that mental toughness comes unstoppable momentum. It's the small daily decisions to keep moving forward that add up to massive success. The key to resilience is knowing that no matter what happens, you will not quit. You will keep going, keep improving, and keep growing. That's what will make you unstoppable. In the end, resilience isn't just about surviving challenges, it's about thriving because of them. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never faced adversity, they're the ones who didn't let adversity stop them. They learned to use their struggles as fuel to propel them forward. Resilience turns you into a person who can handle anything life throws your way. When you master resilience, there's no challenge too big, no setback too severe, because you know, without a doubt, that you will bounce back. And every time you do, you'll come back even stronger. So don't just get through the storm, learn to dance in it. Chapter 10. The Mastermind Effect. Surround yourself with relentless people. You've heard it a million times, but here's the truth. Who you spend your time with has the power to shape your success or hold you back. There's an old saying that goes, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And it couldn't be more accurate. If you want to rise to your full potential, you need to put yourself in the right environment, with people who inspire you, challenge you, and push you toward greatness. You need people who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who are constantly striving for more, who wake up with purpose and go to bed with pride in what they've accomplished. When you surround yourself with these kinds of people, you start to embody the same traits, the same mindset. Your own potential starts to shift, and you begin to see the world through the lens of success. But the reality is, not everyone around you is going to be that person who pushes you toward greatness. Some people will drag you down with their negativity, their excuses, and their limited thinking. They'll tell you that you can't, that it's too hard, that you're wasting your time. They won't understand your vision or your drive, and that's okay. But what's not okay is allowing these voices to dominate your life. The people you spend time with matter more than you think. If you're constantly around those who settle, those who don't dream big, you'll start to adopt their mindset without even realizing it. And before you know it, you'll be stuck in the same patterns, living a life of quiet frustration, wondering why things aren't moving forward. Here's the key to unlocking your true potential. Find people who are relentless in their pursuit of growth. Surround yourself with individuals who push themselves to be better every single day. They don't just talk about success, they live it. They have a vision for their lives, and they chase it with unwavering focus. They embrace failure as part of the process, and they refuse to be victims of their circumstances. These are the people you need in your life, and if they're not already around you, you need to go out and find them. Now, I know this can be tough. People are used to their comfort zones. They're used to hanging out with the same crowd, doing the same things, day after day. But if you're serious about leveling up your life, you can't afford to stay in the comfort zone. You have to step outside of it, and that might mean leaving behind relationships that are holding you back. It might mean cutting ties with people who aren't helping you grow, and I know it's not easy. I know it can feel lonely, especially when you're on your own path, and others around you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. But here's the thing, you're not alone for long. When you start surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, you'll find a community that lifts you up, that supports your dreams, and that challenges you to be your best. They won't be afraid to hold you accountable, and they won't let you settle for anything less than your full potential. Building a network of relentless individuals is like building a mastermind group. These people are more than just friends or acquaintances, they're your partners in growth. They challenge you, inspire you, and hold you to a higher standard. They don't let you make excuses, and they don't let you off the hook. When you have a circle of people who are all committed to achieving greatness, The collective energy is unstoppable. You feed off each other's drive and passion. You motivate each other to push through obstacles, to go beyond your comfort zone, to do what others think is impossible. There's no greater power than being part of a group of people who are all relentlessly pursuing their dreams. And the thing is, when you start surrounding yourself with people who are focused on their own growth, something amazing happens. You start to rise to the occasion. You start to see that anything is possible, that your goals aren't as far out of reach as they once seemed. You become inspired by their success, and their progress becomes your motivation. When you're surrounded by people who are committed to excellence, you have no choice but to step up your own game. There's a ripple effect that happens when you immerse yourself in a group of people who refuse to settle for less than their best. You'll find yourself becoming more disciplined, more focused and more driven than you ever thought possible. The key to this is finding the right kind of people. You don't need 100 friends or a large social circle. In fact, having a small, tight-knit group of people who truly care about your success is far more valuable than a large crowd of people who don't have your best interests at heart. Find people who are ahead of you, people who are further along in their journey. These people will show you what's possible, they'll help you see your blind spots, and they'll encourage you to reach higher. Don't be afraid to seek out mentors, people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. They'll be able to guide you, to give you the wisdom and insights that will save you years of trial and error. But don't just look for people who are already successful. Also look for people who are on the same path as you, people who are hungry, who are ready to do the work, who are committed to growth. These are the people who will walk with you through the challenges, who will cheer you on when you want to quit, who will hold you accountable when you're tempted to slack off. They won't let you settle, and you won't let them either. Together you'll form a community of relentless individuals, all working toward the same goal of personal growth and success. And it's not just about finding the right people, it's about being the right person. If you want to attract the right people into your life, you need to be someone who is relentlessly focused on their own growth. You need to be the kind of person who leads by example, who inspires others by their actions. When you show up every day with passion, with commitment, and with the drive to improve, you'll naturally attract others who are on the same wavelength. People will be drawn to your energy, to your vision, and to your unwavering determination. When you show up with authenticity and integrity, people will want to be part of your journey. They'll want to help you succeed, just as you'll want to help them succeed. The power of the mastermind effect is undeniable. When you surround yourself with people who are relentless, people who challenge you to grow, people who refuse to accept mediocrity, you unlock a new level of potential in yourself. You'll rise to the occasion, you'll push past your limits, and you'll achieve things you once thought impossible. But you can't do it alone. You need a tribe of relentless people who will support you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. Together you'll reach heights that none of you could have reached alone. So, go out and find your people. Build your community of greatness, and watch as you transform your life beyond your wildest dreams. Final words. The life you want is built on consistency. The life you want isn't a result of overnight success or a few lucky breaks. It's built on the foundation of consistency, day in and day out. Every action you take, no matter how small, shapes your future. Every decision you make, every habit you form, is a brick in the wall of your success. Consistency doesn't look glamorous, but it's what separates those who succeed from those who fall short. The difference between achieving your dreams and merely wishing for them lies in your commitment to showing up, no matter the obstacles, no matter the setbacks. It's easy to get distracted by the immediate gratification we see on social media or the success stories of those who seemingly got there without effort. But behind every success story, there's a hidden truth: consistency. It's what keeps you going when motivation fades. It's what pushes you through the tough times, through the moments when everything feels too hard, too far out of reach. It's that inner resolve that says, I'm going to keep moving forward, even when I don't feel like it. Building a life of success isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. Every single day, even when things aren't going your way. Even when the world seems to be against you. Even when the road ahead feels long and the finish line feels far out of sight. Consistency is about resilience. It's about committing to the process, even when you don't see immediate results. It's about trusting that the small efforts you make today will compound into something powerful tomorrow. Think about the people you admire. The ones who have achieved greatness, who have built lives they are proud of. What do they have in common? They didn't rely on bursts of inspiration or waiting for the perfect moment to take action. They consistently showed up. They faced the same challenges, the same doubts, and the same fears. But they kept going. They understood that success isn't about how hard you start. It's about how long you can keep pushing forward. In your own life, you can choose to be consistent. You can choose to be the person who stays disciplined, even when life gets chaotic. You can choose to be the person who never quits, no matter how many times they've been knocked down. Your future self will thank you for it. The small sacrifices you make today will pay off in ways you can't even imagine right now. Every day is an opportunity.